Now let's bring you a throwback of some of our memorable interviews here on the Pulse throughout the year. First is Professor Goski Alabi, wife of Professor Joshua Alabi. I had an interview with her, and in that interview she speaks very fondly of her husband. Well, since we're looking at family bonding, why don't you take some kind of inspiration from her interview? I'm interested to talk a bit about your husband. We understand that he's lacing his boot to take a shot at the presidency on the ticket of the NDC.
You understand so?
Yes.
From where?
That's information. That's actually open secret. It's all
open secret. Yeah. Oh, it is. From the grapevine.
It's all over the place.
And you want the confirmation or otherwise from me?
What you give us.
Why do I have to surrogate for him? Why don't you get him? Why don't you get him to give you the answers that you want? Because it's about him.
Yes, it is about him. But you are a reverend minister. The Bible says that when the two are put together, they become one. So yes, we envisage that the two has become one, and so they think alike, and so they know what
they think alike, but it's about him. He answers for himself. Before the Almighty that we serve, we each have to give accountability for our actions and our inactions, and we speak for ourselves.
Are you denying your husband?
I'm not denying him.
So why are you not talking for him now?
I cannot talk for him.
Why not?
Because when it comes to talking about people's future, it is their future.
What
and
has
they've
he
got
told
to talk.
You
He's not told me anything.
Nothing?
I don't know.
He hasn't told you anything?
Nothing.
Well, that's strange. I mean, I'm not married, but I know that when people are together in a marriage, that they talk a lot.
Well, I know that he's been a vice chancellor. He's not retired yet.
Okay, from
academia. Yeah, because he's not yet 60.
Okay.
And even if he is 60, as a professor, he's tenured. So, you know, professors never retire until they say, I can't do it any longer, or I don't want to do it anymore. But of course, I know he has a past time in politics. As to how active he is in politics now, I cannot tell. He can tell for himself, because I'm not a politician, right? But I know that his party is sort of going through some kind of reorganization or something, and the politicians can best understand their own language and speak to it. So as far as his life, you know, is concerned right now, I know he's an academic.
Oh, so you don't see him as a politician?
He is a politician.
Okay.
I mean, politics is a passion for people. And when it is in people's blood, it is their passion. It is their... No, you can take it out of them.
Were you part of the reason why he quit politics previously?
Why? He lost an election, don't forget.
Yes.
And being the wisest man I've known him to be, he took a leave of absence for 4 years. You know, he's a prophetic guy.
Okay.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Of course, when he was leaving for politics, he took a leave of absence for 4 years. Why? It was just 4 years, I cannot tell. But he said to the university, take my letter and give me the response I need. So after 4 years, when he lost as an MP, he went back to teach. That's his passion too.
So it was because he lost. He left.
Absolutely.
He left politics because he lost.
Because he lost.
Not because there was pressure from the family to say, look, we can't take the insult. We can't take the...
I mean, I know he's a man who knows what he wants in life, and he can bear with almost anyhow. That I can tell you.
But he's got people like you, your children, who
absolutely,
who have got his name, and so if the insults are coming to him,
you know, at that time, his children didn't know anything.
Okay.
At that time, he had only one child, who was barely 2 years, a year and a half. Okay. She didn't know anything.
Okay. Were you bothered about that your husband was in politics at the time and the kind of feedback that sometimes
He was a politician before I married him. In fact, he was a minister of state before I married him.
Okay. What attracted you to him?
His wisdom.
Okay.
In fact, at the time, I was thrilled because I thought, man, that's the wisest guy I ever met.
He must have said something or did something that gave you that impression.
Yes.
What was it?
I happened to have been in a meeting that he was chairing, and I was amazed. This guy would not talk. He just listens. And by the time he opens his mouth once, you're like, oh my God, where did I come from?
You were mesmerized.
No, totally.
Totally blown away.
I'm telling you.
I'll come back to the both you and him. But speaking of chairing meetings, he's board chairman, or he was board chairman of SNIT.
Yes.
And he's coming under a lot of criticism lately over what happened at SNIT. $72 million apparently used for an equipment that is basically a white elephant. How did you take that information?
Well, I wasn't a member of the board, but one thing I'm aware of is that you cannot take his integrity and his wisdom of leadership away from him. This is a man whose leadership has stood the test of time. He was regional minister of the Greater Accra region. He was regional minister of the northern region. He's chaired other boards. You know, he's chaired quite a number of boards. And even in situations where the organizations seem to be blown out in conflict, he's been able to bring them together. One thing you cannot take away from him is that wherever he steps, he leaves a footprint. He always, and it's a gift and a grace of God upon his life, he would always leave an indelible footprint. And I give you one example. I remember when he was Northern Regional Minister, there was an issue about the Accra Sports Stadium, and at the time that contract was actually awarded by him, but he was no longer in Accra. And so he then started gathering his files and his documents in case there is need and anybody calls him to come speak, to answer some questions. And then when he called his colleague said, but you, go to bed, because the records, the facts are there to speak for themselves. Okay. I remember there was a fact-finding committee or something to that effect, but never did his name come up. Okay. He is the same person that I know. He's not changed. Okay. And you know what I say? I say that there are two key judges in life that I have come to respect. And those judges are conscience and history or time. Okay. No matter what it is, no matter how the court of public opinion try to smear you. In my book, Managing for Excellence, I speak about dealing with competitors or dealing with people who find you too difficult, your success story too difficult to accommodate. And each one of us has that experience.
Is that what you think your husband is facing at the moment?
No, wait a minute. I talk about playing dirty. Because even for you as a woman, you would have other women who are envious of your career success, right? That they can play dirty at you, you know, for reasons known best to them.
But is that what is happening to your husband?
I can't tell, but I'm giving you examples.
Because we've had that.
These are principles that I have written about.
Right.
And I believe these are principles and facts of life. Okay. So I'm speaking about theories.
Okay, so
general principles that I have written about in my book.
That this
but let me finish. Let me finish with what I'm saying.
Please do.
So you realize that when people find your success, you know, too much to bear with, they could call you names. Okay. People call me names all the time. You worked in UPSA before, and you know. But you know what? The more you talk, the more I want to give you more to talk about. And in his very context, the fact is that history and conscience would be the judges, because truth is truth. No matter how hard you try to change it, time will prove the truth.
It tells me then that you know the truth. What is the truth in this matter?
The truth I know is that he's a man of honor and integrity.
So he wouldn't have spent 72 million on a system, on an IT system that is basically not functioning. He wouldn't do that.
Well, the Senate authorities and the board may be in the position, and in particular, the people who have made those claims would be in the best position to explain what they mean.
So what, don't you think that he should have by now have perhaps spoken about it?
He did.
He sent, yes, he sent some writers, but what was that for you strong enough, as someone who is into total quality management, was that strong enough to clear his name, so to speak, if he did nothing wrong?
Why not? I mean, why not? Because no one has actually accused him.
Okay.
That's the way I see it.
Well, the point that people have raised is that you were the board chairman. If you were the board chairman...
You see, this is why I talk about ignorance, unfortunately. And we have ignorance in many aspects, you know, of our context. For example, people have ignorance about leadership, and people have ignorance about corporate governance. Okay. So I would just like to suggest, for those who may not have the full, picture of what corporate governance is supposed to be, what the functions of a board is supposed to be, they can educate themselves by reading about the functions, the roles, and the responsibilities of a board.
That may be the ideal, but we know here in Ghana how politicians have worked. When politicians appoint you and put you on a certain board, most of the time the politicians who are on the board have more powers. Unfortunately, because of time, we can bring you all of that interview, the full version of that interview. But that is Professor Goski Alabi on her husband's political ambitions and his role as Senate in the purchase of that 72 million IT system. She was obviously reluctant to speak of whether or not her husband is eyeing the NDC flag bearership. But, well, I've been speaking to the man himself. Hear him.
Natamis was not a president before he became a president.
Okay.
And President Akufo-Addo was not a president before he became a president. So how do you become a president? I don't know whether we have some criteria for selecting, but I believe if you have, I strongly qualify based on what I've done for this country.
So a strong
it's not for nothing. It's not for nothing that this country recognized me and gave me the order of the officer of voter. I don't think they just throw this to anybody. They give you because of your performance.
So a strong appetite, and you believe you have the competencies of leadership. Why has it taken you so long to make this public? I mean, we've seen you go around, you've been to, you know, various parts of the country, we've seen a lot of things on social media, but it seems it's taken you a rather long time to come out and just admit it, say it.
Our party have done a program. And first, it starts from the organization of the branches to the constituency, to regional and national, okay? So for now, we don't have any presidential aspirant in the NDC, okay? What people are doing, and it's exactly what I'm also doing, is consulting people to see whether they think I'm suitable. And I tell you, I get surprised what people tell me. Things I don't know about myself, they tell me.
Like what?
And they believe that I'm more than qualified.
What are some of the things they tell you?
Some of the things they tell me.
Yes, that you. I mean, let's focus on the ones that you didn't know about yourself.
Simply put it, they tell me I'm overqualified for it.
Oh, really?
Yes, they tell me.
And they give you reasons?
I don't want to share the reasons with you now.
Oh, why not? You should
because
share.
The reasons will come out the very day I will announce, and I will give reasons why. I mean, let's relax for some time now.
Your strong appetite obviously will push you to pick up the forms and fill it out and become a presidential candidate. You're going to be facing a few of your other colleagues. Former President Mahama, we understand, is having a lot of pressure piled on him to contest. Goski, I've spoken to him myself. He believes that, and he's made it in clear terms that he is certainly going to be, going to contest for the flag bearership.
He told you?
Yes,
that
he
he's going
told
to
me.
contest.
Yes,
okay.
yes, he has.
Okay.
Yeah, and he was very categorical with it. He is. Okay. And apart from that, we've had names like Sylvester Mensah. We've had names like Alban Bagbin. Are you nervous?
No. I've been in competition all my life, especially football, right? If you're a football administrator, you don't fear competition. You don't fear. You move your team, you play, you win, you draw, you lose, right? I don't know whether former President Mama told you he'll be standing. I don't know.
He hasn't said it. That's why I said we've heard that there's pressure piling up on him.
It's the same pressure that piling on all of us.
And we saw 10. We saw 10 regional chairmen of the NDC actually go ahead to endorse.
And you saw the backlash. You saw the backlash, right? You saw the backlash.
Those were people from within your camp?
Not my camp. The NDC, the party. You saw the backlash, right? It was unfortunate, but then that is something the party.
When you first heard that, how did that make you feel?
It looked funny to me because even the regional chairman will be going for elections, right? Going for elections.
Were you satisfied with the response that the party gave?
Of course, yes, right? Because some of us led us to even to reduce our parliamentary seats in their various regions.
Professor Joshua Alabi, he wants to be flag bearer for the NDC and hopefully become president if Ghanaians deem him fit. So that's part of our interviews, our throwback from, throughout the year. We're bringing you more as and when the days progress into the next year. But I must say that it's been a great year having you on our side, watching us all the time.